Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
And welcome into Nittany Nation Overtime. We have reached our season in review show. I am Jack Washer. Let's meet the panel for tonight's show. From left to right on your TV screen, Mark Brennan from FightOnState.com and Lions 24/7. Neil Rudell from the Altoona Mirror, and the coolest guy in showbiz, or at least he dresses like it, Joe Nastasi. You know, we got the gang all back together for one final show. All right, guys. So Penn State, as we discussed last week, did not go to a bowl game. So as we kind of recap the season, it was literally a tale of two seasons, going 0-5 and then finishing out 4-0. Mark, your just kind of takeaways as to how we kind of just put this 2020 season together.
Yeah, I think early in the season we were all critical of the team and the coaching staff for not doing a particularly great job, but I think you have to kind of flip that around. They never kind of packed it in. We've seen other programs where things went haywire, a bunch of kids opted out. Did not happen at Penn State. So I think you have to give the coaching staff a lot of credit for what happened toward the end of the season. And I think you have to give the players, especially the veteran guys, a lot of credit for keeping that program together, and ended up finishing, what, third in the Big Ten East and winning 4 straight games. So not the season I think anybody hoped for, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I think history is going to look back at this team and admire their effort and their continuity and the fact that they played with a lot of pride. Yeah, they're 4-5, first losing season since '04, but you know, considering where it could have gone, these guys stuck together. That said, I think there's a lot to be learned from what happened this year, because I think their adaptability is still going to be really challenged, and that has proven to not be a particular strength of this staff. It's very regimented, very scripted in how, you know, almost a year in advance, where they're staying at every place and whatnot. They were throwing a lot of curveballs this year that they swung and missed at a little bit early. So I think going forward, that'll be important.
Right. When you look at the totality of it all, you know, like you said, you got the 0-5 start, and from a fan's perspective, you see things and they say maybe, well, you know, Clemson's doing it or this team's doing it. They had a lot more to play for in a sense of, you know, they're in it the whole time. You know, Penn State was out of it early. So like you were saying, Mark, it's easy to just pack it in. And when I say that, this isn't the makeup of the staff, it's not the makeup of the team. And again, you know, a lot of shots were fired at them early about what they weren't doing right. But one of the things you can say is they really hung in there. They weren't like a Michigan and folded it up, you know, and that's what it looked like Michigan did. You can call it what you want, but, you know, I can really appreciate the kind of grind that these guys put in there for that. And again, there's a lot of things that I'm sure they're going to take into the offseason and say, hey, we learned a lot from 2020 as well. But this is a team that didn't get a chance to see anybody, their families, they've been away. And, you know, it's easy from a fan's perspective, again, to say, yep, that's what you do, but that wasn't us in there doing it. So
yeah, I also think, touching on Neil's point, that you have to give everybody a lot of credit for the way they handled the whole COVID situation. You know, end of the day, I know it's about wins and fewer losses than they actually had, but to get through that situation for the football program and the entire athletic department, you have to give them all the credit in the world for keeping those kids as healthy as possible at a time when you looked around at other programs. They had to change rules in the Big Ten to get Ohio State into the championship game because they were impacted. Now, there was some luck involved. You know, there were a couple of teams that had COVID outbreaks right after playing Penn State, but to be one of only 2 programs in the Big Ten to play all 9 games, I think there's something to be said for that.
Neil, how much do you think the schedule kind of played into this kind of tale of two seasons? Like, do you think if Penn State started, you know, with Michigan and then Rutgers and whatnot and finished with Indiana and Ohio State, do you think that would have maybe, you know, we're looking at maybe a 7-2 team, we're looking at a 6-3 team versus an under 500 team?
You know, Jack, I think that that's a good point. You know, just yesterday I was watching on ESPN. They were I flipped it on and the Indiana game's on.
Oh boy!
So you're watching all that unfold with the benefit of the whole season of hindsight. And I think Penn State and James Franklin go so much on emotion when things are going well, in games, between games. You know, they ride a lot of waves of emotion, and when they didn't have that this year was a big factor. Now, that said, hey, next year there's really not going to be a non-conference. I mean, they open up with Wisconsin, and then they get Auburn in the third game. They got Ball State. And even this year, when you go back, they were going to have Virginia Tech and San Jose State, which turned out to be a pretty good team. So I think they're going to have to be more ready early than they particularly were.
All right, coming up next, we like to hand out some awards here on Nittany Nation Overtime with the NitWits and whatnot. So we're going to look at our offensive and defensive MVPs coming up next.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime on WTAJ, your Nittany Nation station. Tonight's show is brought to you by Joel Comfort Toyota.
The holiday season is a great time to slow down and view things through the eyes of a child. I am Troy Campbell, President and CEO of Altoona First Savings Bank. We are living in unique times, and that should not stop us from discovering the joy and wonder this season brings. A season of hope, joy, peace, and newness. From all of us at Altoona First Savings Bank, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It's been called the world's most dangerous paper route.
A lot of journalists have been killed in these wars.
The Stars and Stripes was in danger of closing its doors after 150 years, but a documentary film helped keep the presses rolling.
And he told me there's no way that this paper's ever going down. Not on my watch.
The front page story of the newspaper on the front lines.
It's about being connected to home.
On the 700 Club, Monday at 10 a.m.
Now through Monday, Park Home New Year blowout sale. Get 25% off furniture, 35% off select mattresses, up to 5 years, no interest. Two-piece sectional, $7.99. Reclining sofa, $4.99. Queen Sealy mattress, $2.99. Recliner, $2.99. Your choice sofas, $3.99. Park Home New Year blowout sale. Get 25% off furniture, 35% off select mattresses, now through Monday.
Park Home, come fall in love.
I know this all looks very Hollywood, but guess what? This is a Nissan sales event ad. Sales event ads are usually boring. Is this boring? There's a nice little present. This Sentra has more standard safety features than that 3 Series behind me. What? Did you want a big red bow?
Now's the best time to get a great deal on a Nissan.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
All right, welcome back to the show. All right, let's hand out some Nitwit awards and whatnot. Offensive MVP, defensive MVP. Firstly, for me, on the offensive side, I got to go with Jahan Dotson because you look at what the expectations were coming, trying to replace a guy like KJ Hamler. And it wasn't shown in the postseason awards, but personally, I think he's one of the best receivers in the Big Ten. Mark Brennan, what say you about MVP on the offensive side?
Wow, Jack, you went out on such a limb.
I know, right?
That was amazing.
A lot of analysis went into that.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolute no-brainer. You talk about not just what he did on the field, and we're seeing some of these highlights, who he did it against. People forget that he had an unbelievable game against Ohio State, but also the way Jahan Dotson emerged as a leader when this team needed leadership. He came out and was very vocal when he needed to be after some tough losses. And when you think of what happened at the quarterback situation, then you lose your top 2 running backs, you lose Freiermuth. This was the guy who stepped up on the field as a leader and I think had a spectacular year. You factor out his numbers to 12, 13 games, he would have had probably the second or third most receiving yards in Penn State history. With this quarterback situation, amazing.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I know Hamler went high to Denver and has played very well in the NFL, but I think Dodson maybe doesn't have the breakaway speed that Hamler does, but boy, he won a lot of contested balls, and I agree, because I don't think he was really necessarily that outspoken guy who had been a leader before this year, at least at Penn State. So yeah, he would be. I'll throw something out to Michael Menet. I think he's really stabilized the offensive line the second half of the year, and I'll give him an honorable mention.
Yeah, I would say, there's no question that Dotson was, the guy because of what you're saying from a leadership standpoint. Kind of got to give it to the running backs in the running back room. Collectively, they had to show up every week with whoever was available, and a lot of that comes from Juwan Sider's team or room coming in there and really being able to get it done week in and week out with having whatever he had to play with.
On the defensive side of the ball, it's a little tougher because I think we can all agree this unit kind of underperformed for most of the year. They weren't horrible, but they weren't like on that elite level like we thought they would be. I kind of look at the defensive line, either Shaka Toney or Jason Elway, just because of what they kind of bring to the table week in and week out, and you always have to game plan for them. If you had gun to my head, let's go Shaka Toney. Mark Brennan, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, Shaka, the thing about Shaka to me, he had a good year, but he had 2 sacks on 1 series against Indiana and 2 sacks against Iowa, and then 1 sack the rest of the year. So he wasn't that consistent force. The guy that I've gone with, and people may look at this a little sideways, but I thought Brandon Smith, as the season went along, got better and better and better. Now, he still wasn't perfect, and I think if they get him out of that field linebacker spot into one of the box areas, he's going to be a more natural fit, but I like the way he improved throughout the season.
Yeah, he played well. You know, we'll see what happens with Elway at the next level. He had no sacks. He was the
first team All Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't get it. Maybe they're basing this on potential, but I didn't see that. I think maybe Toney. You know, Brisker, I think, had a pretty good year at safety. I think he's somebody that really came on, and you know, Joey, I'm sure you'll come up with an out-of-the-box pick.
Well, you know, he stole the pick for me there. I mean, I thought Smith was, you know, I like him. I've always liked him at linebacker. I think, again, he's a little bit out of position by need. But I think over time he's going to be really, really good. And as you said, Brandon Smith just kept getting better as the weeks went on. You know, Brisker obviously was, I think, first team or second team All Big Ten, All American, and so he did well. But again, Smith would be my guy that I really like in there that I think is gonna do well over time.
Yeah, I think Mustipher also was pretty steady.
Yeah, and Joey Porter Jr. obviously another guy who I think you look at where he was early in the season, and to end up being where he was, I thought he finished really, really strong.
You know, we talk about Jahan Dotson on the offensive side of the ball, but 3 guys that really kind of impressed me on that side. Parker Washington had an unbelievable freshman season. Kevon Lee had an unbelievable season after you lose not only Journey Brown, but you lose Noah Kane on the first series. And then also, people might look at me weird, but I think Sean Clifford, the way he bounced back from getting benched, he wasn't gangbusters by any means, but he was steady and he did what the coaches wanted him to do, and Penn State ended up winning their remaining 4 games. Mark Brennan, if you look on that side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball, somebody who really kind of caught your eye, maybe not an MVP caliber person, but someone who you're looking forward to seeing in 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, offensively, I would go with Caden Wallace at right tackle. I mean, they were able to move him in there, bump Will Fries over. Great learning experience for a redshirt freshman, and I thought you saw the offensive line get better when he was in there. Again, not perfect, but I could foresee really big things for that kid a year from now, maybe 2 years from now. Just a really good tackle.
Hey, Joey, I want to let you take my place. Go ahead. I want to give you the first chance.
Well, you know, offensively, you know, I think, again, I go back to the running back room. I mean, I think because you played so many guys that are 18 years old or 19 years old. I mean, those guys are right out of high school. So they got a lot of time in some big boy games and really, really grew up this year. And it's going to show down the road. I mean, I think when you get that kind of talent going that early and they have to be there. So I'm going to say, you know, the offense or the running back room.
I want to throw out the 2 tight ends, especially Strange. I think, you know, after Freiermuth was injured, Strange became kind of a check down option for them, and was very productive. Theo Johnson blocked well and made some contributions as well. So I think the tight end spot is in good hands going forward.
All right, coming up next, we're kind of shuffling the deck on the Penn State roster as players are moving on, players are coming in. What will the team look like in 2021? We talk about that next.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime on WTAJ, your Nittany Nation station. Tonight's show is brought to you by Joel Comfort Toyota.
Time's running out on the final days to get a great deal at Toyotathon. There. Now you have a little more time.
Lease a 21 RAV for just $229 a month, or buy one and take $1,000 cash back.
I feel younger.
Toyota, let's go places.
It's been called the world's most dangerous paper route.
A lot of journalists have been killed in these wars.
The Stars and Stripes was in danger of closing its doors after 150 years, but a documentary film helped keep the presses rolling.
And he told me there's no way that this paper's ever going down. Not on my watch.
The front page story of the newspaper on the front lines.
It's about being connected to home.
On the 700 Club, Monday at 10 a.m.
PA-able savings accounts are a great way for Pennsylvanians with disabilities to save money without impacting important government benefits, build long-term savings, or use for many day-to-day expenses. Plus, a Pennsylvania state tax deduction is available exclusively for PA-able contributions. Find out more about PA-able tax benefits, eligibility, qualified expenses, and investment options for people with disabilities at paable.gov or call 855-529-2253.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This year, Xfinity Internet gives you more options than a holiday dinner table. Pick the speed that's right for you, all the way up to gig. And get reliable internet with top-notch coverage, plus help keep your data safe and private, with security included. No antlers on the table. How come you get to eat first?
Xfinity Internet delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Upgrade to gig or get started with this great offer in time for the holidays. Switch today.
Time's running out on the final days to get a great deal at Toyotathon. There. Now you have a little more time.
Take Toyotathon bonus cash for up to $2,500 in total cash allowance on a 21 Highlander.
I feel younger.
Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
As is tradition with any end of the season show, we kind of got to look at who's coming in, who's leaving the program, and whatnot. Joe, who is the most shocking, I guess, departure? You got Antonio Shelton, you got Shaka Tony, or potentially Shaka Tony, I should say. You got Jason Owe, Judge Culpepper, Pat Fryermuth, and whatnot. Who kind of shocked you the most when they kind of made those decisions?
I'm not going to say that I was completely shocked because, first of all, with 2020, the way everything's going and shuffled around, guys are making different decisions for different reasons. And the game has changed so much and it's become so personal for everybody. I hate to be that person to explain that, but it's, yes, we're all about team. Yes, we're all about family. But at the end of the day, everyone's making decisions based on their best interest. And, I think you're going to see obviously more and more of that from every program as time goes on. So I can't sit there and say that I was really shocked. The one that is probably going to hurt the most, is Fryermuth. You see how much we use the tight ends, but not a shock.
Yeah, I think everybody expected that. And plus, as Neil mentioned, you have Strange and Johnson, who are both going to do a good job. I'm anxious to see what the ultimate decision of Brisker is. He accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl. Does that mean he's definitely going? But he's a guy, as well as he played, I still think he could get even better at the college level and improve his draft stock. So, OA, I think everybody expected he was going to do it because we know he's going to blow up in the combine. Judge Culpepper, a guy struggling for playing time. Antonio Shelton, a 23-year-old. You had some guys who it was kind of maybe time for them to move along. But I think, as I look at it, Brisker it will be nice if he decides to come back for Penn State, but it may not look that way right now.
And we don't know, whether Dodson feels he has a decision to make or not. I think they have.
He's got one to make.
The 17th of January, and I made this point in the green room, and Brennan dismissed it, which is all the more reason
I didn't know we had a green room.
Make it. But I think with COVID and the fact that these kids have been away from their families, we don't know what's going to happen next year. That maybe that comes into play, where some of these kids are going to go a little closer to home, who are a little disenchanted or see another opportunity. So maybe that's in play as well.
And then, you got to kind of look at, who's coming in and what this roster will kind of look like. They picked up a Baylor transfer running back, but that running back room, Noah Cain comes back and the two freshman running backs, that looks pretty good. If Jahan Dotson doesn't leave, the wide receiver room looks pretty good. The quarterbacks aren't going anywhere. As you guys kind of look at this roster heading into 2021, you're not looking, hey, this could win a national championship, but it's looking a lot better than it did probably at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, with the transfer portal, they really need help at defensive end, and if they could bring in a safety, because you lose Lamont Wade, and it looks like Brisker as well. I think those are two areas. And I really think if there's a quarterback out there, they have to take a look. That quarterback situation is so unsettled. I know Clifford kind of smoothed things out toward the end of the year, but I don't know if that's looking like the sort of performance you need to win a Big Ten title. So if there's a quarterback who's out there who's good enough, I think they have to take a hard look at it if they're interested.
This is definitely the year for it. You got to have that space on your roster because anything can happen here. There's going to be guys, I'm sure, as time goes on here in the spring and everything, that they're going to be ready to, like you said, they could be moving closer for whatever reason. Just moving to get a different view from what they want to do there.
I'll be curious because when you bring in a quarterback who's an upperclassman that has some experience with the idea that he may challenge to be the starter, and then plus I think you got to really get everybody's head together, and Kirk Ciarrocca at the head of it. And I mean, how many are you going to continue to run this guy 20 times a game? A quarterback that wants to be a quarterback transfer, presumably to throw.
Yeah. We knew we were going to go. And we should explain.
You started it.
We should explain that the NCAA has made it much easier for athletes to transfer now.
Sure.
So that's why we're talking so much about transfers coming and going. You could basically transfer without losing your eligibility.
Well, they can test the waters too and then come back.
Yeah.
So it's not like I think Lamont Wade did it. He went and then he decided on coming back.
I think they need to get a running quarterback in here, a guy who runs it really well.
Jamel Holloway.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, how much will an off-season, spring practice, workouts and whatnot, not impacted by COVID, or not impacted as much by COVID? Because last March we really just had no idea what was going on and whatnot. But if they're able to have a spring ball, how much will this help? Because when you have so many new coaches, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you really saw them kind of lag behind, and really they picked it up at the end. But I feel like if Ciarrocca has I don't know how many spring practices they get, 12 or 15 and whatnot, but I got to think that helps them, in the offseason going into 2021, especially when you got to start with a program like Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I think we saw that this year. I know I underestimated, I don't know about anybody else, how much not having spring practice ended up eventually hurting them, because not only did you have Ciarrocca, but you had Troutwine, a new offensive line coach. Now, obviously, things worked out well at receiver, but those two areas, as you looked at this team, as the season went along, the offense in general and the offensive line both got better and better and better. So I think it's going to be, if Franklin's able to keep the entire staff together, and I would love to see him be able to keep this offensive staff together just so we could see where it's able to go, I think it's going to be big for them to have a spring.
I think that having like a university like Penn State, it's difficult to recruit from the phone and from Skype or whatever you're doing. You got to get the kids here to see a spring practice, and I think that hurts us in a sense of that feel, because when you get Penn State is a field thing. When you get up here, you understand what it's all about. You understand the facilities, and where the other programs, maybe you just see it on TV. But for Penn State, I think for our recruiting, I think it's critical for us to have that spring practice, along with whatever, because everybody went through the same situation with with the coaching changes and whatnot. But I think it's more important for us to have those kids get on campus and be able to get in here so we can recruit them.
Well, the camps too, Joe. I mean, you've been around the camps. I mean, those things are big.
They're big.
Yeah, but I also think that's going to be one of the first spring priorities or uncertainties. Is the staff going to stay together? Mm-hmm. They had a lot of movement last year that really proved to create some challenges of adaptability. So I would hope for their sake, for continuity's sake, that there's not very many changes this time around.
All right, coming up next, we say goodbye one final time as we wrap up our 2020 NitWits season.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime on WTAJ, your Nittany Nation station. Tonight's show is brought to you by Joel Comfort Toyota.
We see them every day. The hands, hearts, and minds of our front lines. The care they give, only to go home and care some more. How they run in when others run away. Today, the whole world is seeing them like we always have. Here's to the heroes.
We are the Thrivers. Women with metastatic breast cancer. Standing in the struggle. Hustling through the hurt. Asking for science, not sorries. Our time for more time has come. Living longer is possible and proven in women taking Kisqali plus fulvestrant or a non-steroidal aromatase inhibitor. Kisqali is the only treatment in its class with proven overall survival results in 2 clinical trials, helping women live longer with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer. Kisqali was also significantly more effective at delaying disease progression versus a non-steroidal aromatase inhibitor or fulvestrant alone. Kisqali can cause lung problems or an abnormal heartbeat, which can lead to death. It can cause serious skin reactions, liver problems, and low white blood cell counts that may result in severe infections. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including breathing problems, cough, chest pain, a change in your heartbeat, dizziness, yellowing of the skin or eyes, dark urine, tiredness, loss of appetite, abdomen pain, bleeding, bruising, fever, chills, or other symptoms of an infection, a severe or worsening rash, are or plan to become pregnant or breastfeeding. Avoid grapefruit during treatment. Kisqali is not approved for use with tamoxifen. It's our time to continue to shine because we are the Thrivers. Ask your doctor about Kisqali, the only treatment in its class proven to help women live longer in 2 clinical trials.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
All right, welcome back one final time. Neil Rudell has a piece of paper in his hands. I'm not sure what it is, but Neil, take it away.
A little parchment. Now, the end of the year tradition. It's so much fun every week we get together. Really appreciate our guest NitWits coming down. I want to mention Joe 3 times. It's always great to see you,
Appreciate
Joey.
it, yeah.
Yeah, we had Mike Irwin twice. We had Justin Kirpakis, the great Steve Smear. Of course, we had Goon. He canceled. He was back. Roger Corey and a newbie, Shane McGregor, got a lot of positive vibe. But just really appreciate Brendan and Chris Owens, everybody here at TAJ that makes it possible. Thank you.
You forgot Tyler Donahue, who
Tyler
made the
Donahue.
guest.
Well,
made
he's
the
had it
guest.
for a year.
Yeah, that ended up being costing us Nitwit of the Year. So
Last
the chair
time
ended
he'll
up
be
being
back.
Nitwit.
So I ended up winning because I'm
That's
here for
right.
the final
The chair
show, so I
is-
get the award, right?
Yes.
All right, good.
Hey, I want to shout out to Brendan for doing a great job, and Jack obviously doing an awesome job this year, and all the people out there who watch. I can't tell you how much feedback I get when I'm out and about saying, hey, aren't you a nitwit? So I am a nitwit, and I'm proud to be a nitwit.
Yeah, and I want to say the same thing. Thanks to both of you, longtime friends, and really appreciate it. Like from way back in the middle school days, especially Neil here. So I really appreciate that, and I want to say big thanks to all you guys here.
Yeah, it's been a weird season. We got through it somehow, some way. We got to talk about 9 games instead of, like Ohio State, where we only get to talk about 6 or 7 games. So I'm appreciative of that. Thank you guys for coming in each and every week. Thank you to all out there who are watching each and every week and commenting and whatnot. But for Mark, Neil, Joe, I'm Jack. We'll see you in 2021.